I'm Edward Adams from Bloomberg Media Studios, and this is Panos A, who is the president of the Recording Academy, which produces the Grammy Awards. And I learned just a few minutes ago, actually, an amateur trombonist in his spare time.
Well, not quite amateur. I did go to a music college.
That's true, you did. That's true, you did. But it's not your paying gig.
It is not my paying gig.
All right. Well, we thought it was appropriate to have a client like the Grammys and the Recording Academy, since we're meeting today in Hollywood. But we also thought it was appropriate because the kinds of challenges that they faced in creating AI and figuring out what to do with it and how it could be most useful are the same kinds of challenges any company faces, even if Taylor Swift doesn't come and sing at your annual off-site convention. So let's begin with sort of talking about what the challenge was that you were trying to solve, the problem you were trying to address with AI.
Sure. Maybe can I take a second to tell people what the Recording Academy is?
Sure, go ahead.
So you obviously know the Grammy Awards, but the Recording Academy, which is the organization behind the Grammy Awards, is a body of almost 17,000 creators who collectively form the voting body for what you see on TV and other categories that are awarded earlier in the year. But we engage on a number of activities year-round, and those are around advocacy, especially in a time of such rapid change. IP policy is critical, supporting this community, advocating for it, and being a home for what we think is the most important class of citizens, and that is the creative class. In terms of the problem that we've been working together, and we've had a long-standing relationship with IBM, the nominations for the Grammy Awards come out in November. The show is a few months later, in the first week of February. And even though you get to see about 10 categories on your television, there are about 900 nominees every year across 94 different categories. We have a very small editorial team. The Recording Academy is a not-for-profit organization. So as you can imagine, being able to appropriately generate content that is both in volume and in accuracy at the standards of the organization that honors each and every one of these Grammy nominees, because if you're a Grammy nominee, is a life-changing event. Not too many of us get to call ourselves Grammy nominee. That's an important facet of what we do, and that's how we've been working together with IBM and Watson X.
So you had to create a large language model to do this with, but how were you going to try and ensure that it produced accurate results?
That's an excellent question. Obviously, having our team work in close consultation with IBM, mining authoritative data from our end, as well as, again, with support from you to create this LLM model has been a critical part of ensuring that ultimately what we put out there is at the standards of our organization. Yeah, like any organization, the biggest currency you have is your credibility.
And it needed not just to be accurate, of course, but it also needed to speak with the brand voice of the Grammys, right? I mean, I think it's fair to say the brand voice of the Grammys is not the brand voice of, say, IBM. They are very different from one another, and you wanted to make sure that this content felt like it was authentic.
We like to consider ourselves a blue chip company.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, certainly. Clearly, our organization needs to also speak to multiple audiences, because we have both a consumer-facing brand in the Grammys, but the Recording Academy, which I would guess a number of you may not have even known about, is the organization that's out there engaging with legislators and with industry with respect to the issues that our collective membership faces. Mm-hmm. So being able to adapt the voice and the style for these audiences is another critical component to what we're doing.
Yeah. So you've got these 3 months between announcement of the award, the nominees, and the award ceremony itself, and you've got the staff of about 5 people.
Well, the Academy is a lot more than 5 people.
Yes, but I mean in terms of the marketing
the editorial.
Yeah, the editorial folks. So give us a sense of how much content and what kinds of content this content engine was creating.
Yeah, but by the way, maybe with AI, hopefully we're not 5 people in a few years, but
it's true.
But we do have a lot of work to do. With respect to the content, I mean, this is ultimately both short and long form content that's distributed across different platforms, whether it's Grammy.com and our various social media handles. And as you can imagine, for every one of these social media platforms, I mean, it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not a cookie-cutter model. Any one of you who's in the marketing function knows that. So that is the way that we've been approaching this.
So for your companies, even if you're not involved in something like the music industry, certainly you're trying to reach an audience of the public or people who are interested in your content, and you have a marketing function. That's clearly a place where you could use more content than you currently have, and AI is a mechanism to do that. But I think if you look across organizations, there are a whole host of ways in which this kind of an approach could be applied. HR, customer experience, as we heard on the first panel, IT operations, cybersecurity, anywhere where there's content and you wish you had an opportunity to create more of it at a reasonable cost, is a way that you might want to consider using AI to further what your goals are.
And Ed, I mean, we're also looking, again, there is a public-facing aspects of what the Academy does, but ultimately we do serve a membership that engages with our platforms in various ways. So long-term, we're looking to collaborate with Watson X to create, more platforms where they can get help, their questions answered, as we're continuously evolving the way that we're engaging our members, because we are a membership organization. This will play an even more critical role in what we're doing.
Coming back to the AI stories for a moment, give me a sense of sort of how big an audience that this content ultimately reached.
Yeah, so I believe there was over 4 million impressions across our social media, about 1 million during the live stream on live.grammy.com. So quite a large audience in terms of having these snippets of content, again, create unique customer engagement experiences.
Right. And the staff that you have are reviewing this content as it comes out of the engine to make sure not only it fits your brand voice, but the accuracy is there. It's saying what you want it to say, right?
That is correct. The staff plays an active role in the content that's ultimately pushed out there.
Right. It's not just the amount of content, is it, or the fact that it reached the right audience. You were talking to me earlier about, in a sense, the work that you do is very emotional because people react to music in an emotional way. You love a song, you love an artist, and that's what you're trying to generate from this content, right?
Yeah, look, the two of us are on the stage, but there was a whole lot of people involved in making sure the two of us are on the stage sounding this particular way, and this audience is here. And it's the same with the song. I mean, you listen to the song, but the Academy's mission is around honoring excellence and ultimately generating respect and awareness about the craft of recorded music, which is an amazing art form. So certainly with creating these experiences, we want to go beyond just appreciation for the emotional resonance of a song, which nobody needs to teach you that. You come with it at birth, right, with appreciation of music. But more even digging deep behind, I'll say, the proverbial scenes of, well, how did this thing come together, right? And I think we live in an era where people demand authenticity, whether it's the food that we consume or the experiences that we have. So knowing that there's ultimately a craft behind what you listen to generates, I feel, more appreciation ultimately for what you're listening.
It's fantastic. What do you have planned with IBM this year for the Grammys?
Well, we're hoping to work even more closely together to create, again, more unique, engaging experiences. This year, we're starting again engaging consumers through our social handles and our website, and in an even more fun, more unique way. Again, we'll be talking a lot more about it in the next few months. And IBM is a critical partner in general to the Academy with all of our back-end implementations as well. So we look forward to a continuing successful relationship, which is several years old and hopefully a lot more years to come.
Fantastic. Those of you who would like to know more about the Academy's experience with AI and IBM, we'll be posting a podcast episode with Panos on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the places that you listen to podcasts.
All those cameras, and it's going to be a podcast?
There's going to be a podcast.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, if you want to give a Grammy for Best Executive Interview, you know where to find me. Okay?
I wish I had the authority to do that.
Thank you, sir. And thank you all.